So I'm working on something that I started as a free talk, little live chat that I did on my creative neighborhood where we made a dragonfly. And you can find that. It's here on my YouTube channel. And I just uploaded the Facebook live chat. And then, as a follow-up for that, in my creative circle, and there'll be a link in the description if you want to go check that out, I have a little membership group that's $10 a month, and in addition to getting a new project every month, we have these Sunday live chats, and I really love those. So the first half we just all talk together, and it's through Facebook group, and it's usually my brother joins in at the first half, and we just talk about whatever. Okay, I don't know if you know this. All right, so you know that sometimes when animal or ancient dinosaur fossils are formed because the ancient bones, the flesh deteriorates and the bones kind of get covered with soil and minerals seep in and stuff. There is also a phenomenon, and we were so excited about this because we found one yesterday, where the same thing can happen with wood. So like a bone or a tooth or something like that can become wood infused and fossilized with wood instead of stone. So we found a rare island saber-toothed tiger fossilized wooden. Not buying it? No? Okay. We went driftwood hunting instead. So look at this cool piece of driftwood that Ricky found. Show and tell. And then the second half we do a demo, and oftentimes the demo that I share with them is a continuation of a project we've done. So since we did the dragonfly, I thought, well, let's keep on going and turn it into a larger piece. Now, this little video is not about that, because that is something I'm doing with my membership group. So if that's interesting to you, it's well worth the $10 a month, I think, to join the group and get these little extra bits that we do. But what I thought I would do is I thought I would just continue to work on this project, not explain it to you, but just give you something to look at while I'm chatting about something that came up in our group discussion today. And then, of course, if you want to find out more, you can join in on the membership. But the thing that came up, and if you're interested in any of this, any of my tutorials that use epoxy sculpt, are going to go over the basics, and you're going to learn about how to do all this and, all the little tricks and fun stuff. So, there's plenty of places for you to learn about the how-to part of things. But it's better to just watch something fun while I'm rambling around. But philosophically, I wanted to share something with you. So what came up in our talk today was really interesting, I thought. And I thought it was worth sharing on a little bit more of a public forum, because I think that anybody who is a creative person goes through similar things, and you have times of great creativity, imagination, inspiration, motivation, and times with very little. And that's normal. That's how we all are. Some people have a lot more consistent motivation than other people, and that has so many factors to it. But it is very, very normal as a creative, I think, and from everything I've read, just for there to be periods of your life where you are feeling just creatively fired up and periods that are not. And whenever anybody is talking about creativity, there are also certain things that kind of we all struggle with, or wonder if anybody else is going through the same thing. And the answer is almost always, yep, other people are feeling the same. And one of those things was that we were talking about today is that sometimes people feel paralyzed when they're getting ready to do something, to know what to do or how to choose all the different choices. Like, say, for example, this mosaic assemblage, which is what I'm working on. How do you know what to use? Like, you go to your stash and there's so many things and you just kind of like, I don't even know how to pick. So we talked about that, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today as a little hack that I've got for that very thing. So when I am doing something like this, I have a bunch of these little trays about this size, and this size is perfect, and I'll show you why. This was a particular sort of microwavable meal came in this particular plastic thing, and I got a few of those pretty frequently. But what I love about them is they are a manageable size. Now you'll find something that you have that's similar. And what I do when I'm going to make something like, say, this, I know that there's going to be green water lilies. There's going to be a water lily flower that's going to be orange or purple or whatever with a yellow center. So I get little trays like this, and I go through my world and I choose what I think might work for the thing that I'm going to do. And I make sure that it is one layer thick, that I can see every single thing I put in it. And if it's too crowded, I have to put something back. But I try to imagine what I might need. This is for the lily, the little water lily pads. So I know that I was going to need some lighter green in here, and I go look up water lily pads and see what it is. Lighter green in here, so I might go this color or this or this or this. But then I also needed darker green, so I've got a couple of dark green choices. So this is what I bring with me to start creating. And the reason why it's important to do this is then you have what you have already predetermined are acceptable choices. And you might think, well, yeah, so, I've got buckets and buckets of that sort of thing. Well, here is what we kind of discussed in our talk today, and why I think it's valuable for me to bring it up again, is that there are kind of like two different processes going on in your brain. Now, this is my version of it. Somebody that has more knowledge about how the brain works or whatever would probably say, well, you're oversimplifying it, and that's not exactly how it is, which I totally get. I'm sure that I am. But I've kind of found that over the years of like teaching and knowing how my own process works and talking to other people over the years, I've kind of come up with this particular way of looking at it that I think is kind of helpful. Is that when you are trying to decide what you should use at the same time as you're doing the creativity, they can kind of paralyze each other, because the act of creative flow is not the same as choosing and editing and imagining and problem solving and all that. Creativity is a problem solving thing for sure. Like, I wonder if these look better curved or what, or straight, so that you are solving problems as you go. But these are problems where you're already having the choices made as to what you're going to use and what you're not going to use. Not, should this be purple? I don't know. Should it be yellow? Should it be green? Should it be, you should be doing all those should it be's before you get to the creative part. Because the act of trying to solve the problem, edit your choices, imagine if the things you've chosen are good things or not good things, that is going to change how you're interacting with the creative part. And the creativity, for creativity to be at its best, it really has to be flow. You have to be not in a moment of thinking too much. You almost have to be in a moment where you're just sort of at one with your materials, and that happens when you already chose your materials. You're not having to think about that. So this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but I feel like predetermining the things that I can use. So you see what I've got here is I brought two different strands that both would look good for surrounding the petal and defining the petal. And I already figured that out, so that's good. I didn't have to think about it at this stage. It's already done. And then also what's going to go in the middle. So I have a bunch of things that are all about what's going to go in the middle. And I don't have to think about that. I just have to look at the ones that I have. I've got crystals, I've got beads, I've got little square glass beads. All I got to do is see what fits, not whether or not that should be, or where did I put that really cool thing that, is purple and that probably would look great in here. All that stuff you do as a separate part of the process before you get yourself immersed in the flow, because there's so many ways to create. Everybody's going to do it different. There's not a right or wrong. I'm just telling you something that I have found to be very, very useful for me, with the hope that you'll be like, that resonates with me. I really think that I might like that too. And that is, once I start this part, I don't have to make any kind of editing, proofreading, any kind of choices that uses the part of my brain that is analytical, or I'm not even using the right terms, I'm sure, but there's like these different parts of your brain, and the creative part has to be unencumbered. It has to be play. It has to be flow. It has to be joy. Even if you're working on something difficult, because sometimes we do create things that have a message to say, and the message is not happiness. The part of the creativity part, though, it is birthing something beautiful or interesting into the world, and that part should always be joyful in that sense, because you're at one with the material. You've already learned about how to use it. You're not struggling to master it. There's time for all that. And, those are important parts of being a creative, right? We got to figure out how our materials actually come together and, make sure you're using them right, all that stuff, of course. But when it's time to actually get in the flow of things, you just got to let it come. It's just got to flow out of you with very little. I say this somewhat facetiously, but I really mean it. It's almost like you stop thinking, and it just becomes instinctive. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. That actually is a process that takes a long time to get to that stage. But it's just wonderful, and sometimes you feel yourself in that. I mean, every one of us have been in that moment where it's all just flowing. Everything is easy. It's like everything is easy. That's how you're in that flow stage. Actually, you don't even know it then, because you're not even thinking about it. It's so easy that you're not even thinking about how easy it is. And I think that is one of the most exciting things about anything creative. It's this river that you are swept into, that is perfect temperature and perfect flow and perfect everything, and you're not concerned about where it leads, because you've already figured that out, and you're just in the moment of it, and you're just enjoying looking at the little water plants along the bottom, or the little things on the side. You're just like there. Okay, so I'm waxing a little poetic here, but you know what I'm saying is, like, when you get in that stage of the flow, and if you've been there, you know how that feels. It's just a really interesting place to be, and I just love it. So I just wanted to take a moment while I was working on stuff to kind of talk to you about that, because we were talking about that this morning, and it was valuable for people. They were thinking, this is really good. I'm going to go back and listen to this again. And most of it was that little hack about, get your plate, your little tray full of goodies first. Work a little at a time. Like you can see, I'm just working one pedal. I don't have to stress. It's not, don't have to work so fast that I'm rushing. I'm just enjoying it, and just enjoying being able to pick up each piece and see if it fits, and think about, do I still like the color of this? Do I want to change it up? Is there anything else I want to do? And I'll fill it all up, and then I'll move on to the next and the next, because I've already done the planning. I've already done the sorting. I've already picked out just the things that I think will work. And along the way you might be going like, oh, wait a minute, where's that thing that I have that'll be perfect for this? That's totally great. But that shouldn't be something that is interrupting your flow of, like, because you feel like, oh shoot, I didn't get enough things, and now do I have any more? I got to figure it out. Is this the right thing, the wrong thing? You get all lost in there. And another thing we were talking about too is, so often we will come to our creative little space, and as soon as we get into our creative area, we start thinking about all the tasks. Oh, I really should clean my studio space. It's very messy, and I can't find all of my stuff. And that's fine that we think that, and we want to clean up and straighten and make it better. That's totally fine. But if you're thinking that when you sit down to create, like you had this impulse to create, and you're all excited about like having a little time to create, then we get ourselves distracted with the chores. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think sometimes we are having a leftover from just the constraints adult society and our Western culture has put on us, is that everything has to be productive. You can't have your dessert till you've eaten all your dinner. All those different things that make up a part of who we are, that we're not really allowed to have fun. And so we're thinking of all the things we haven't done yet that we have to do first in order to earn the right to create, right? Does that sound familiar? I'm here to tell you, screw that. You have my 100% permission. I can write you a note if you need to show it to anybody. That when you are feeling the impulse to create, The only thing you should do when that impulse takes you is sit down and make stuff. If your studio is a mess, just shove it off to the side. You can clean up later. You can clean up when cleanup time is, but when you're creating, it's creativity time and only creativity time. Don't let other things distract you, because they will, and then you'll never get that moment back again like you should. And boy, it's hard enough to find time to create, let alone having to sabotage ourselves, right? So anyway, that's just some of the things we were talking about. We talked about a bunch of different things, and that was one of them, of just, that little hack to make your trays and get that sort of the thinking about it process done before you start, and then not letting yourself get sidetracked by all the things you're supposed to do. When you're creating, you don't have to do anything else. You have to play. You have to enjoy. You have to let your little inner child come out, and not the one that had to clean up his room first. That you're an adult now. You don't have to listen to that one anymore. This is just the pure, joyful, creative playing that if you had been able to do that in the way that you fully wanted to as a kid, now you get to have that time, and you get to be that person when you're creating. And it is not only totally acceptable, it's the better choice, because we have a lot on our shoulders as adults. There's so many things we have to do. There's so many people we're sort of responsible for. There's so much, and we need time to not have to be that person. We need some time just to play, and creativity just kind of helps. And also another thing we touched on just a little bit, and I thought I'd throw it out there since it popped into my brain, is there are times in our life when we just don't have it creatively. We don't feel like it. Oftentimes it's because we've gone through loss, or we are tired or suffering ourselves with health issues or other things. And sometimes those period of time can go on a while, and you just think, am I ever going to feel creative again? Yeah, you will. Don't even worry about it. Creativity never goes away. It is always waiting for you. It is always there. You will never forget how to create. You might have to relearn a few techniques, or just kind of, go through the motions to get your experience level feeling flowy again. But the creativity part, it is infinity. It is never constrained by time. So you don't lose it. It doesn't get rusty. It's what surrounds us, I think. It is the essence of life. So whenever you want to tap into that, it's always right there, and it'll be there for you. So if you have stuff in your life where you just don't feel creative, it's okay. Don't be sad. I mean, we can be sad that we aren't feeling creative, because sometimes that it can be very frustrating, and you can feel like a failure, or like, why aren't I? But don't kick yourself over that stuff. It just happens. Don't worry about it. When you feel ready, you will, and that's as simple as that. You'll be ready when you're ready. And just trust that. It'll happen. No problem. And sometimes the getting ready part is starting to feel more and more frustrated and not being ready. And that's also fine. That's part of the process too. So don't worry about it. It's all going to work out. But on those times where you want to be creative and you're just not feeling it for any number of valid reasons, just be creative adjacent. Watch somebody create. Listen to your favorite videos. I mean, I've got tons of YouTube videos that are very creative adjacent, that I'm just showing you like this, how to make something. And even if you are not going to make that thing ever, watching me make it or somebody else make it, just being around creative people, creative activities, creative friends, anybody that you like listening to that is creative, it helps you be in that kind of part of your mind where the creativity lives, and that is good for us, because it kind of helps satisfy that feeling of creativity at a time when maybe we're just not up for it just yet, and that's good too. So don't feel bad if you're in a non-creative part of your life at the moment. Just trust that you will be back in a creative spot when you're ready. All right? That's all I wanted to say.